Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we've got something truly beautiful and mind-bending to explore. We're looking at a fascinating piece of source material that maps out exactly how massive cosmic events cascade directly into our everyday lives. It's like an unimaginable chain reaction. Okay, let's dive into this and see how everything connects. The 13.8 billion year setup and the beginning of everything. To really get our heads around this, we have to start at the absolute beginning. Long before you and I were here, there was no music, no people, and definitely no complex questions bouncing around in our heads. Actually, there was only expanding energy and light. 13.8 billion. That is the staggering age of our universe. I want you to just sit with that massive number for a second. That is the incredibly long, quiet setup required just for us to exist and be having this conversation tonight. So, how did that prep actually happen? Well, first, atoms like hydrogen and helium quietly clumped together. Then, stars ignited, burned bright, and eventually burned out, which, was just the normal cosmic routine back then. But then, those dying stars exploded as supernova, violently scattering carbon everywhere. And honestly, that chaotic scattering was our lucky break. Without it, we absolutely wouldn't have this chance to be here today. Let's move to and see how this builds in the chain of life, from stardust to humanity. The universe's matter didn't just float there, it started to progress. Look at this rapid progression. It is literally like a falling domino effect. We can trace a rapid, direct line. From that loose carbon drifting in space, bam, you get the formation of planets. The planets grow trees, those trees give us food, and that food ultimately sustains human life. It's a straight shot from stardust right down to you and me. And once human life starts, man, the dominoes fall even faster. The source material maps out this wildly chaotic chain of the human experience. We're born, we grow up, study, and work. We get completely exhausted and start asking these massive questions about our existence. We keep journals, and in our modern era, we literally sit around talking to AI to do something as incredibly specific as writing a long song. The pivot to reality and seeing the whole row. Okay, let's dramatically pump the brakes for a second here, because right here is exactly where the story stops sounding like a cold science lecture and pivots directly into our real everyday lives. This brings us to a beautiful core philosophy. As the text says, no one sees the whole row until they look back. You see, the dominoes of the universe stretch back way too far for us to count in the moment. We just go through our daily routines, experiencing ordinary, seemingly worthless little events, completely oblivious to the fact that they're actually dominoes that will keep falling for years. And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast at the heart of our story. On one side, we have these immense, cold, scientific facts. The Big Bang, exploding supernovae, scattered carbon. But on the flip side, we have real life, a tiny, ordinary, seemingly worthless everyday event. The so what here is that when you look back years later, you realize that tiny little moment was just a continuation of the cosmic domino chain, tumbling endlessly forward. The universe's long joke and the final punchline. This leads us right to a fascinating conclusion about how our mundane modern lives connect directly to the dawn of time. You might be wondering, does a random, small, everyday moment really trace back to the Big Bang? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. If you trace literally any small event back far enough, the chain is unbroken. The dominoes have never stopped falling since the universe began. I want to leave you with this incredibly warm, witty realization from the text. The universe really likes playing long jokes. There's no need to rush trying to figure it all out right now. Sometimes you just have to look back and laugh at the pure poetry of it all. The cosmos spent 13.8 billion years setting up a chain reaction from deep space to a planet to a tree to a human, just so we could sit here and write one song. So what domino is falling in your life right now that you won't even understand until you look back? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep looking for those connections.